You've probably never heard these Selena stories before. Some will bring you to tears, some will make you laugh, and others will leave you shocked.
Success did not happen overnight for Selena. I just wish that the people could see that part of her. We went to Las Vegas, and that's when I took a picture of her and Chris. Everything about her was happy go lucky. The sparkling eyes, the killer smile. She has this gift.
You just did it because you saw her and you believed in her that day in the park.
One thing about life is you don't realize the great moments in your life. You take it for granted. She belonged to the people. I was just happy to be a part of her life.
Hello, everyone. You know, before Selena became the Selena that we know today, as a child, she was touring Texas with her family, and alongside them, there was one man from San Antonio who has such incredible memories with her, and he's here right now with us. Ramon Hernandez, welcome to our studio, Ramon. It's so wonderful to have you. You have got treasures. Anytime somebody says, there's something new about Selena that you might have not heard before. It's like all the Selena fans were listening. I'm so excited that you're here.
I thank you, Sarah, for having me, and I'm excited to meet you.
So tell me a little bit about your background. I mean, you knew Selena as a child before anybody really got to see the Queen of Tejano that we know today.
I met Selena when she was 14. I saw her perform at Rosedale Park at a. They used to have a weekly function called Tejano Thursdays, put on by Delmiro Garcia Productions, and I would go to them every week to cover for the Express News. And she was the opening act one day, and I heard her voice, and I saw her personality, that killer smile, and the showmanship for a 14-year-old, and that blew me away.
And what were you at the time, a promoter?
No, I was writing for the Express News, San Antonio Express News. So I was covering different acts. I was covering different functions.
So you were a reporter.
I was a reporter.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
A contributing writer.
And then you saw her, and your first impression of her, even as she was just 14 years old, you still remember that.
Oh yeah, sure. You couldn't forget it. I mean, you don't see talent like that, and the way she just oozed out warmth and she had this vibrant, vivacious personality, and it was infectious. When you saw her smile, it just lit up the room.
Yes, I mean, you could see it in all her videos.
Yeah.
Instantly. You can't help but just,
Instantly.
connect and just look at her. And you saw a lot of talent at the time come through. So when you have somebody like that that stands out, that's something.
At the time, Selena was performing as a 14-year-old, and for the next 5 years, I think I counted at least 70 young Tejanitas. They were trying to be the next Laura Canales. They were trying to be, the next superstar. But out of those 70, here comes Selena, and stood out. She and Shelly Laris.
Yeah. Who ended up becoming really good friends with Selena
Very
as
good
well. And
friends,
you
yeah.
know both of them. You know Shelley very well as well, right? You were telling me you were like an uncle to them.
I felt like an uncle because I used to hang around with her father, Fred, all the time. We'd go out to eat, and I'd go to their home in Lark Street, and I'd go back there. He'd be working the bus, and her mother Irene also, and so.
So did you tour with them and promote them and write about them? Or what was your role exactly with Selena and her family
Well,
in that 5 years?
after I saw her perform, I went up to Abraham and I said, "Your daughter, I see something your daughter that I've never seen before. I'd like to help you out. Could I help you out with publicity? Could I help you out as a photographer?" And we agreed to meet in Corpus Christi. So he came over to my mother's house, and he came in his van, and he had a whole bunch of cassettes of Selena, songs that have yet to be released. So he played those for me, and then we went out to the backyard. I had Abraham and Selena lay down on the grass, and those are the pictures you see in People magazine, different magazines that are out there on Selena, father and daughter. And you can see the connection they two had. There's a lot of artists that I saw come and go. Great voices, but they were pushed by what you might call stage mom or stage pop, you know. And because the kid sang well doesn't mean that he wanted to be a star, that he wanted to be in front of the people. He was being pushed by the parents.
But what
Not
you
in
saw in
Selena's
Selena,
case. Not in Selena's case.
she
That was
wanted
innate.
it.
It was God given. It was natural. You know, she loved what she was doing.
So she wanted to be on the stage. She
She was
wanted to
born
perform.
to be on the stage. Yeah. 5 years going on the road with them. Either going to Dallas, either going to Houston. Abraham would pick me up on I-37, and I'd get on the bus and Old Bertha, and here we go.
So from what year to what year was that? What are we talking about?
I
Time
would
period.
say by this time, 86 to right, almost right away. Because I remember some of the first pictures I took were at La Bamba in Dallas. Then there's a High Hole Ballroom in Grand Prairie. There was Guys and Dolls in Fort Worth. She was all over Texas.
And so that was in the late 80s.
Right. And what I remember about the bus, it had no air conditioning. It had no heater. So when it was winter, we'd get on the bus, and Abraham would turn on the bus and wait for it to heat up. And everybody would walk around and kind of feel the floor for the warm spot, the warmth from the motor. And that's where they put their sleeping bags or their blankets.
Because the family at the time, were they struggling to make ends meet? I mean,
They were, I won't say struggling to make ends meet. They had a nice house in the Barrio Molina at 709 Bloomington Street in Corpus. It was just, you can only afford so much. I mean, he had a bus while other people didn't have a bus. It might be an old school bus, but nonetheless, they had a bus. They also had their own sound board. So they couldn't afford a sound man, so Abraham was a sound engineer.
wow.
So something goes wrong with the board, something goes wrong that's electrical, Abraham would take his ball cap, switch it around, not literally.
Yeah.
And he was now the electrician.
Yeah.
And working the lights, they had a light board, they had lights, their own lights.
He wore a lot of hats, as they say.
Yeah. And working the light board is her mother, Marcela, and Abe's first wife, Benji. And you can see it in some of the pictures that I took. So Selena gets off the bus. She goes in for the sound check. The mic doesn't work. Call a technician. There's no technicians. She had to troubleshoot the mic herself. Normally, it was just a battery, and she'd take it and replace it. And I've got pictures of her mother holding her up because she was really ailing with the flu. And she's putting the battery in the microphone. And then I've got pictures of her mother and Abe's wife working the light board. And this happened one day when everybody was down with the flu. It was cold. Everybody was trying to keep warm. So in the bus, you could see them pacing back and forth with a coat on because there was no green room in the club. So they had to wait on the bus, waiting for a signal to come into the building. So success did not happen overnight for Selena. They paid their dues. Like
She
I
worked
said,
hard. She was a hard worker.
The whole family, it was a family affair. They all worked hard. They all worked together in unity. I mean, it was a very supportive family of each other, very united.
So a big part of Selena's success was her family.
Oh, yes.
And to this day, I mean, they carry on her name. I know a lot of people, there's always some controversy sometimes. You got to know the family really well as well. How do you feel about everything?
I've heard the criticism that you mentioned, and a lot of people might think her father was trying to commercialize or capitalize on his daughter's fame. If he had not done it, somebody else would have done it. It would have been the private items, the bootlegs, and he just had to keep it under control. He just couldn't let everybody just make socks out of her and aprons and, everything that you can think of in the world, the candles. So he did the right thing. It wasn't to advance themselves monetary wise.
And so in that 5 years, you saw a 14-year-old Selena and then a 19-year-old Selena. And really, that was the start of her fame at 19 years old. What was that transformation like as you toured with them for that time period?
Well, I remember the first photo session we did. It was at a studio that they would rent called the F-Stop on Bandera and 410. And we'd go there and do a professional photo session, there was a cushion that I told her, okay, just put your elbows there. And without saying a word, she started going like this. She started going like this. She started going like this. And then she got impatient. I mean, she was so full of life, so full of energy, she just couldn't keep still. So she takes the cushion and then she starts playing peekaboo. Okay, here we go.
And that's for the
And then she
pictures.
holds it up and then she throws it at me. And then she finds a feather and she starts playing it. So I got the whole series of pictures. What I did was not glamour photography. What I did was like a photojournalist in the war, during the war. I documented what was going on. The pictures tell the story.
And Selena fans can thank you because you have things that I know everybody wants to hear. You walked in here with treasure in your hand and you started to show me, and I was like, wait, don't show me just
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Let's hold off. I want to see. Okay, I'm ready now. I want to see what you have.
This is 2 weeks after I met her. Look at her hair.
Wow.
That's a pudgy me. Selena, my wife, Suzette, Abby, Ricky Velez, and I forget his name right now.
Look at that.
That's at
Selena
Rosedale
hair.
Park.
This is, I guess, when she chopped off her hair.
That's it.
As Shelley
That was her
saying.
natural
Wow.
hair.
What year was this?
1985.
1985, and you had just met her. Okay.
Right. This is 1986. Her eyes just sparkled, you know. It was like having spotlight on her.
Her eyes and her
Even in the
smile.
shade. Right, the killer smile.
Yeah.
I mean, she just loved to, she loved posing for
Well,
pictures.
and that's the thing, you know, they say the eyes are the windows to the soul,
Right.
and truly you can see it in her. And I think that's what draws people to her.
That's right.
Is you meet her and you just instantly have that feeling that you want to talk to her more. You want to get to know who this person is.
I feel privileged because I have a 70-inch computer screen. So when you see it blown up, the first thing that grabs your attention is the eyes. And you look into them and you can feel what the emotions,
How does it feel to be looking at your work, the stuff that you did for Selena?
privilege, honored. I mean, like a proud uncle.
When was the last time you spoke to her before her murder?
After she made it and became a national and international artist, I went on to promote other people like Emilio, Ramirera, Gary Hobbs, La Mafia Mas. So I didn't see her that often, but we'd get together like at the Billboard Awards or Premio Nuestro Awards. And one thing that stays with me is that I never learned how to dance. My mother raised me very strict. Dancing's a thing of the devil. But she would try to encourage me by every time we're backstage, she'd hit me with her butt, my butt. I've got pictures of that. Give me a little bump.
She got you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Kind of, sort of. I never learned how to dance.
Yeah.
But we went to Las Vegas one time for the Premio Nuestro. And I said, Selena, let's pretend we're dancing. And I gave Abraham the camera. So you see us like dancing, but we weren't really dancing. And after Abraham gave me the camera back, then he started dancing with Selena. You should have seen Abraham and Selena. They had some moves. I took all the negatives, all the color slides, or as we call them, transparencies, and I gave them to Abraham. I said, this is to let you know I don't want to capitalize on Selena's death. I don't want to make money. I feel like, I just couldn't do it. So he uses my pictures and put Q Productions on there. But
Yeah.
I kind of regret it now. But before I handed everything to him, I made prints of everything.
Yeah. I mean, she was definitely quite the fashionista. To this day, people follow in her footsteps.
After
Try
that
to-
stage, she started tinkering with hats. For a whole year, she would just wear hats, all kinds of hats. And I've got those pictures too where she's trying them on, or Marcela's helping her with a hat.
I love her jacket here. What a nice outfit.
And then after the hat period, she went into making her hair longer and just different styles. And all of a sudden, she stopped smiling with the camera. She wanted to look sultry. She wanted to look more grown up. So you have this pretty young girl with a nice, sexy, sultry look, But that was all her. She did not she did not need help in hiring somebody to create her image, a PR agency or whatever.
She did her own.
She created her own image, from the hair to the wardrobe, everything. It was all her ideas. And the wardrobe, the way she dressed, what did that translate to in the future? Her boutique.
Yeah. Her boutique, yeah. And Shelly was telling me just the cutest stories how as kids, she's like, Selena used to make me her mannequin and she would put little jackets on me and pin them. And she said she'd just draw these amazing sketches. And she's like, I loved looking at them because she always had that natural instinct, for a fashion designer. So, and that was another thing that I think set her apart. People, you see her style overall, and to this day, people try to imitate it.
You couldn't find in a star rack. I mean, she sewed on the sequins and for her and the whole band.
So I guess this is when she was beginning. This is the evolution of Selena, beginning to grow up a little bit, wanting to show the world she's not that little girl anymore. She's
a more
now
classy look. And one thing that we used to do after every photo session for an album cover, or regardless, any photo session, we would always take a picture together. So the jacket that A.B.'s wearing here, he took it off and says, okay, use this one, put this on for our together picture. And that's us.
Oh, so now you're wearing the jacket that A.B. wore.
And you can tell we're having fun.
So tell me this, because I know when I look at pictures, they take me back to the day as if I was just there yesterday. I could feel everything I'm looking at. I could just see it like I was there. What do you see when you see this? That day, where were you guys and what did it feel like? What was going on, the story behind this?
We were at the F-stop and we were just having fun. Every photo session was not serious, not with them. I mean, you didn't have to give them direction. You just put them in front of the camera and they just, like natural born models,
And what about this one here? I'm going to go back to this because this is just such a unique look for Selena.
She drove up in her red car, and I saw her hairstyle, and I don't know if I can get used to this.
You liked her with her longer hair more?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But she knew what she was doing.
Did you tell her that?
No.
You're like, I wouldn't dare.
No. Anyway, I let her take the direction. I was just a messenger through my camera, that's all. It was not work. It was just pure fun, sheer elation. Everything about her was happy-go-lucky.
Did you guys ever have deep conversations and really talk about each other's lives and families?
Well, on the bus, she and Suzette would always talk about, okay, we're going to the mall or we're going to a movie. And she was kind of boy crazy. And because Abraham was so strict, they had to keep everything hush-hush. So I'm kind of made privy on, okay, we're going to we're going to this movie at the mall. And Suzette, don't say anything. We're going together. But once we're there, I'm going to go to the movie with this guy. And,
So they would sneak out behind Abraham's back. She was just like any other girl. That's
one
a lot
thing
of
I
girls.
regret, she would write me notes on her little personal notepad, which said Selena Quintanilla. And I always read them and wad them up and throw them. I regret that because that was autographs.
Yeah.
I told Selena, you know what? Give me a blank one. And that's what I have, a blank notepad when I had all those personal notes.
Yeah.
So
That's okay. You still have a lot of beautiful memories.
this is when she won her first Tejano Music Award. I did 7 of her album covers. That's one of them.
Female Vocalist of the Year. And the winner is Selena and Los Tinos.
I also did the graphics. Back then, we didn't have Photoshop. Back then, we didn't have laptops and computers. So all that we had to do with rub-on letterings. You went to a place like Hazel's downtown, and you bought the lettering, and you just rubbed it on the paper, and everything was by hand.
So this was all your work?
Yeah.
Were you the photographer for all her album covers?
Only 7, the first 7. Once she signed with MEMI, they went with a professional photographer. Like I never was a glamour pictures type, glamour photos.
I don't know. These are really good pictures. These look pretty glamorous to me.
That's on the spot.
Like glamour shots. Remember
Yeah.
those? Glamour shots. Yeah.
She made it glamour shots. She was glamorous.
I love that. She made it. Oh, what a
And the
nice
back
way
is
of
one of
putting
the
it.
publicity pictures. Another thing
took
about
that.
that photo session, I told Abraham, because they had like a little lobby with a Coke machine, go get me a can of Coke. So he brings it to me thinking I'm thirsty, and I hand it to Selena. And I said, here, pretend you're drinking Coke and really enjoying the heck out of it. And he says, what's this about? I said, have you ever thought of having her as a spokesperson for a product? At the time, everybody had a sponsor, like a Lone Star, a Pearl, a Schultz, Schlitz, Bud Light. And the sponsor would make posters of you holding their product, in this case, a beer. And no beverage had gotten into the Tejano market. So I explained to, first reaction from Abraham said, no, my daughter's, I'm not going to have her pitch and beer. I said, no, Abraham, think beverages. Think Pepsi-Cola, think Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, whatever. So he got the picture, and then, so how do we do this? I said, well, you got to write a proposal and submit it to the advertising agency. Well, I've never done that before. I'll do it for you. So I wrote out the proposal, and he signed it. We sent it into Sosa and Associates, and they sent Bonnie Garcia to check her out and doing a performance, and they were sold on her. Long story short, she got a contract. So I felt good about that. Somebody asked me, when was the last time you saw Selena? When I was in California going up the coast, I got to a radio station, and Selena and Los Dinos were on the air in the DJ booth doing an interview. So I'd wave to them and I'd go out. I get to the next station, I'd get, let's say, a bite to eat. I'd go to the next town, and she's coming out, and I'm going in. And we started doing that, San Diego, L.A., Oxnard, Ventura, on up the coast of California. And finally, I took one picture of her. I said, let me take a picture of you, because she had this little hat and everything.
And do you remember what you guys said? What was your conversation?
We
What
were
did she
laughing
tell?
because we thought it was funny. Are you following me? No. Are you stalking me? No. So it was casual banter,
Yeah.
always in a joking mood.
So that's the kind of relationship you guys had. Just,
Here you have thousands of people going out to see her in concert and trying to get close to her, and I casually bump into her over and over. So no big deal. And that was the last time I photographed her and the last time I saw her.
what year was
I
that?
never do that. 1994. So,
You're getting emotional. It's still hard to talk about it.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
It never gets easier when you lose someone you love.
Yeah.
When you heard that she was shot and killed, what went through your mind that day?
One thing about life is you don't realize the great moments in your life. You take it for granted. It's not till years after, or long after that you appreciate it, or it hits you, because you're just so busy with what you're doing.
Did you have any regrets, maybe not speaking to her a little bit more after she was taken away so soon? Did that
No,
ever go through your mind?
She belonged to the people. I mean, I was just happy to be a part of her life. I know after she got married, about 2 years, we went to Las Vegas, and that's when I took a picture of her and Chris. And I told Chris, I want to get a picture of you, Selena, but I want to duplicate the moment that you crossed the threshold with her. And he couldn't pick her up. So Selena stood like on top of the sofa. And I told Chris, okay, stretch out your arms, turn around. Selena, you jumped in his arms. She did. And he turns quickly around, and I'm over there, and I shoot the picture, and that's the picture you see him hold it up, Selena. Then he puts her down.
So was she then your first official record promoter job? Because before that, you said you were a reporter for San Antonio Express News. That was your first, promoter job.
I was doing so many things, and when you're doing it because you believe in the person, because I believed in her talent, I was not an employee. The record company didn't pay me. Abraham, I was not on his payroll. I was not his employee for Q Productions. Everything I did pro bono, let's say. And I didn't realize that I
So you
was
didn't
being a
get paid for
promoter,
any of
that I
it?
was being a publicist.
You didn't get paid for any of it. You just did it because you saw her and you believed in her that day in the park, and
That's
you
correct.
felt like she was going to be something.
And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, that after she was assassinated, I just took all my work and gave it to Abraham.
What do you think it is that draws people to her so much?
The sparkling eyes, the killer smile. Oh, I know what it is. She has this gift that when she meets you, she might not remember your name, but she remembers your face. And I was looking at videos of her. She could be in the middle of an interview, and if you walked in and she spotted you, without missing the beat, she'd go, or like that, On stage, she would do the same thing. Here's a club full of people. And, I remember because you walk in and you're behind the people standing before the stage, and she'll spot you, and her eyes light up. And she'll go, hey, check out some of the videos. You'll see that.
She had the ability of making people feel special.
Yeah, that's it. She connected.
Do you still talk to the family?
Oh, sure. I don't go to Corpus often, but I always stop by and see Abraham, and he normally takes me out to eat. Or the last time we went to this little seafood restaurant, and it was during COVID, and that was not the last time, but it was during COVID, and we had to order at the drive-thru window and wait outside for the people to bring the order out. But we always get together. Or it cracks me up when he'll pick me up in a small little, standard car, not even a sedan. And I look, come on, Abraham, you can afford a Mercedes. But he's very down to earth,
Yeah. What do you think she did for Tejano music? What kind of impact do you think she has on Tejano music today?
She internationalized it. Again, it was the talent. How many people can boast of having their image on a stamp, on the U.S. postal stamp? They had a set of stamps: Selena, Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, Carlos Gardel, and Carmen Miranda, a set of 5 stamps. I can tell you she's won hundreds of awards. 2 Grammys, Billboard Awards, Premio Lo Nuestro Awards, SCAP Awards. How many Tejano female artists or Tejano entertainers, no matter who they are, no matter what their gender is or how famous they are, have 3 statues? Selena has a statue in Corpus, of course, one in San Antonio, and one in Mexico, in Monterrey. How many have a wax figure at the Hollywood Wax Museum? How many people have murals just scattered all over the country?
Her music is unique. Her music connects with people.
Right. I mean, you might hear a Selena song being sung by Paulina Rubio or Thalia or Ana Gabriel or any of a dozen internationally known artists. They're doing Selena.
Now, have you watched the movie with Jennifer Lopez, and have you watched the Netflix series?
It's awkward.
No?
No. I saw the movie.
Uh-huh.
And I
What did you think? I'm curious.
I had mixed feelings because they always skip the era or the time that she was paying the dues. It always begin. Well, there's some scenes when they were kids and they're riding the car and all that's true. But they don't show when she was paying her dues. That's all.
So you felt like the Selena you knew worked really hard. And that's a side that people really haven't been exposed to very much. We just see the end result of her being famous, but we don't see all the years of hard work
Right.
that she put in. I mean, you're talking about what, hours a day of constant rehearsals and performing?
Yeah.
And that's what you saw.
It's kind of overlooked, omitted, or avoided. I don't know if it's purposely or who has to say so on that, the producer, the director, somebody, or the scriptwriter. I just wish that the people could see that part of her.
That's what you remember her as, the hard worker.
The hard work. Well, the hard work, yeah. I mean, when and Abraham doesn't like me to say it. I used to write, okay, they stopped at Motel 6, or they went to Jack in the Box for the taquitos. No, don't write about that. Don't put that in the article.
So
Maybe that's why.
the stuff that you documented, you have the pictures. What about the written stuff? Where is that? Where can people read about the handwritten documents, from the days that you were working with them? Is that somewhere?
Those are all archived in my personal archives, which I hope to return to a museum one day. Right now, I'm a commissioner with the Texas Music Hall of Fame, and we're lobbying at the state capitol for a building, bricks and mortar structure. And once that happens, of course, the ultimate Selena Museum is already there
Yeah,
in Corpus
in Corpus,
Christi. You
yeah.
can't get any better than that. But we're trying to bring recognition to everybody in the industry. One thing I found out several years ago, I was always writing about the lead vocalist, about the front man, Emilio Navaira or Ram. What about the bass player? What about the guitar player? What about the accordion player, the keyboard player, the drummer? They're always overlooked. And in the books that I'm writing, I am putting together an encyclopedia, which I call Tejanopedia. And I already wrote a book on Little Joe, on Renee and Renee. And my next one's going to be on Sonny Osuna. I want to rectify that because that documentation's not there. It's like, again, taking things for granted. I myself, I was adopted at birth, and I didn't know who my real parents was till I was in my late 30s, almost 40. I found them, and I'm always interested about where do I derive from my ancestry. So I've been to Mexico numerous times trying to find my roots, and everybody has roots, and I'll cover that. Not the ancestry part in the book, but the roots in music, their musical roots.
What do you want everyone to know about Selena?
That she was a beautiful human being. She was an angel. That nobody will ever top her.
I was there to see a lot of it. She was a prankster, jokester. Just as typical teenagers and young people, right? This photo in particular, I remember this. This was at Rosedale Park. This is when they used to have Tejano Thursdays all the time. She had performed because it was Thursday night. But I grew up living close to there, so she invited me. Youngest picture I have of us so far. We were 11. For the Tejano Music Awards, they used to go all out and they would have food for us.
What's your favorite thing about going to the awards?
Is that we would get to spend time together. That's when we would hang out. We'd hang out during sound check, then we'd go get ready and we'd hang out that night.
And eat.
And eat. Because she loved to eat. She was a foodie. We would go to Village Inn, we would go to Luby's.
And here in town,
Here
where
we
did
used
you
to
guys
eat a
like
lot
to eat?
at Mi Tierra.
Mi Tierra.
That was her favorite place. We would eat a lot at Tony Roma's.
Even though she was in shape all the
I
time.
know, I hate her.
Goodness.
She made me sick, I swear.
naturally like
Naturally. She'd be on the phone. I can't talk very loud. So what did you do at school today? If there was a mall, we were going to be there. We would walk on the Riverwalk. When she got her first car, we would put the jams on in there. We would sing loud in the car. And one time we both did a concert together in Austin at the Coliseum. And she had just gotten the Eclipse, and she wanted to take me for a spin. So I remember getting in the car, and then she winds up putting like her foot on the gas and doing donuts
Oh my goodness.
in the parking lot of the Coliseum, and I'm like hanging on for dear life, and she's just laughing. But,
When I think of Selena, that's not what I would
oh,
have ever
she was a fast
imagined.
driver, let me tell you.
She had a bit of a wild side.
Oh, she did. She did. We would listen to music constantly. She loved a lot of the pop artists, you know, Madonna, Janet Jackson. So I think we wore out the Rhythm Nation CD. Like, that's all we listened to. Paula Abdul, I think she drew from a lot of those styles. To me, she was a stylist ahead of her time, you know. I think we see a lot of her styles coming in now to this day. People trying to emulate.
She had that
her,
vision,
yeah.
like you said.
Oh man, an amazing vision. An amazing vision. I used to love looking at her drawings. And she was the stylist, not me.
So she was always a little fashionista.
Oh gosh, very, very creative when it came to clothing and style. And it wasn't anything she really had to think about. It was just one of those things that just came very natural to her. She was making me this really beautiful jacket. It was a white satin jacket, and it was like a bolero jacket. And it had like beautiful piping, different colors. And I'll never forget like me being the little mannequin, and she would put it on me and she'd be pinning it. We were about 15. We were still very young.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have the boutique till we were, you know, in our 20s.
And I love the hair.
Oh man, when she did her Ven Conmigo album, and she completely cut her hair off short. It was because she had been doing so much to her hair, so her hair was real damaged. So she's like, I'm just gonna chop it off.
Favorite memory of Selena?
My favorite memory, I was spending a weekend with her, and I got sick. She left for a little bit, came back, and the way her room was in the Bloomington house was, when you walk straight up the stairs, like her room is the first room at the top of the staircase. So I was sitting on the bed, and I just see her coming up with soup on a tray and crackers and my medication. She had gone to order my medications. And that was like, will always be my favorite memory, because she was actually taking care of me.
She was like your mom.
Yeah, she was
sometimes.
like my mom. Oh yeah, I never let her live that one down, that, you know, people thought she was my mom.
In some of those pictures, you
Yeah.
look much younger.
Yeah.
Even though you guys
We
are
were the same age.
Because you were telling me she was just 7 months older
7
than
months
you.
older than me, yeah.
I was doing the bitty bitty bomb bomb thing.
Her presence, her laugh, the conversations. There's so much about my life that, you know, I would love to share with her. Just to have her there, you know, is what I really miss the most. She's one of a kind. Chris Bettis came into my band in 1987. One time she came over and we were swimming, and then we were going to have band practice. So, you know, that's when she first met everyone at my parents' house.
Is that how she met him?
Yeah, that's how they first met, like casually. That's how they casually
your
met.
band?
Through me, through my band. That's one thing that Selena and I always made sure of. We were doing music we truly believed in. My favorite Selena song is Besitos. That would be always mine. Con cada beso que me das, yo te quiero más y más. But I think back of when we were kids and the struggles we had as women in Tejano music. They didn't want us headlining shows because we're women. But I think she and I were blessed because we had our fathers, and they were afraid of them. So they weren't dumb enough to disrespect us in the presence of our dads.
You guys were best friends.
Yes. Yeah. Every friendship has their challenges, you know. We had our bad times too. You know, there was a little time there where we didn't speak for about two years.
Really?
Yeah, it was really
the time
close
where
towards
you
the
guys
end.
were in the height of your career.
Absolutely. She was already, you know, going into Mexico and traveling the world. You know.
People tried to break you guys apart.
Yeah, for sure. You got to be careful with who you trust in the music industry, you know. And we laughed and we cried and we talked and we confided. Just she and I were in those rooms, and I knew what our friendship was about. And, you know, we were like very close sisters, and, you know, we wanted the best for each other. We weren't your typical, you know, 20-year-olds.
Right.
We were making money and making careers for ourselves. Once she broke away and was able to make her own decisions, I think that's when, you know, that's when she went and got married. 94 at the Hana Music Awards fanfare. And we used to have it inside the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. And so I was there signing with my fans, and I hear, commotion kind of behind me far away, and I see her coming in, and mind you, we hadn't spoken in a very long time. She was busy, I was busy. It just we just drifted apart. I just can see in the corner of my eye that this whole mob of people and her are just coming towards me. And I'm like, is her booth next to mine? I'm like, what's happening here? The next thing I know is like, she's just walking straight for me and just hugged me very tightly and said she loved me and she missed me. And then we just started talking again as friends. And like, it just felt so good to have my friend there. To see the impact that she still continues to make on the young generation is incredible. It's because of her authenticity.
Muchas gracias. Well said.
Down to earth humbleness. That's what people relate to.
She loved her fans.
Oh yeah, she loved the kids especially. She was a sucker for the kids.
So the Selena that we saw on stage and the Selena that you saw with her fans was really
that is her.
Selena,
1,000%.
Your friend.
1,000% that would give you the shirt off her back. I mean, just a beautiful person.
Kind-hearted.
Kind-hearted. With every ounce of her being was she that.
How do you think she would feel if she'd seen all this around her? Where
She'd be
people
like,
are
girl!
breaking Guinness Book of World Records collecting her material.
That would be her word. Girl!
I'm really surprised with the turnout. I think it's great.
We talked the week before she passed. We talked a week before that about getting together and my heading to Corpus.
Now there's a lot of talk about Yolanda and parole.
It really doesn't matter what I think. It's not going to make a difference. My friend's not here anymore. Nothing will ever bring her back. And that's a burden and a cross that Yolanda will have to carry for the rest of her life. In the 23 years that I knew her, it was something very special, no doubt, something very special. It's just going to always be one of a kind person. There'll never be another Selena. There will never be, no matter what anybody tries to do, there just never will be. If I was to have a wish right now, and of course to have her back, it wouldn't necessarily to have her back to be on stage. I would just want her to be back and live life. That was her dream, to have a family. I know she'd be a mom, probably a grandma by now.
Okay, we've got the La Reina, the current queen of Tejano music, Selena. And Selena, you're here, the star attraction of the Stay in School Jamboree. Why is it important for you to come and talk to the kids about staying in school?
I'm all for education, therefore I think it's really important to take the time for programs like this. I'm really surprised with the turnout. I think it's great. It's a good sign that kids want to do something good for themselves, and it's great to see the turnout here today. It's great.
And it's great to send home the message when you're doing the bitty bitty bamba stuff.
Yeah, I was doing the bitty bitty bom bom thing. I couldn't hear myself. I was like literally going off, the feedback in the place because the Alamo Dome is so huge. But it was fun. The kids loved it. It was great.
It was kind of like, let's see, the biggest cheers were for Dennis Rodman and for yourself. So you're in the Dennis Rodman class now.
No, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, the guy's taller than me. He's got red, what color hair does he have right now?
He's yellow.
Yellow hair. I'm short. I got black hair. I don't know.
All right. Thank you very much, Selena.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Mari Vasquez, former reporter here at Ken's 5. And when I say former, we're talking about like 30 years ago.
We're talking, it was the 90s. It feels like yesterday, but my hairline proves it was not yesterday.
I saw the video.
Yeah, that hair looks damn good.
It did look good. I mean, I only see a few more grays, and that's it. You look just
one or
the same,
two.
Mari.
One or two.
That video is amazing. I had a chance to watch it over and over, and I think what was so amazing about it is you really got to see Selena's personality in it, but you were on the scene that day talking to Selena, but you were a sports guy, right?
I was a sports guy.
So how did you end up interviewing Selena?
Well, that's what had me there, sports. That day, that Saturday morning, the Spurs hosted the NBA Stay in School Jamboree. for 1995, and it was an event where you had Dennis Rodman, David Robinson, Sean Elliott. They showed up, represent the Spurs. Hey kids, stay in school. Alamo Dome, Spurs side. They had a great crowd.
And Selena was performing.
Selena was performing. The band before Selena, Two Unlimited. You know who Two Unlimited is?
I do not.
Two Unlimited is the band that plays dun 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 dun. Go!
Yeah.
Y'all ready for this? So those guys played, but Selena was the headliner. And so she came out, she did a little medley, 3 songs and stuff. But we interviewed Two Unlimited on the side. But for Selena, we knew, well, there's her bus. Her bus is Alamo Dome days, back with the Spurs. Alamo Dome's so big, right? It's real big, real big. Well, the Spurs would only use a chunk of it. So there was a big blue curtain at the end of where, you know, the court would run. There was a big curtain. Well, Selena's bus, you could drive it into the Alamo Dome then. So her bus is waiting. Me and photographer Rick Gonzalez, I just said, hey, let's wait here. Let's try to get Selena for a quick live look.
So this was not even planned.
No,
in
it's not
advance.
planned. We're just getting stuff. All this segment, I was going to make a video for the young Ken's 5 Saturday morning show, which was on the air at that time. I would provide sports segments, just fill a little time with some sports.
Now, were you a Selena fan at the time?
I was a Selena fan at the time. I had competed in a very fun. They had this thing called Tejano Media. You know, I'd been in town a couple of years, but Tejano Media play a softball game against Selena y los Dinos. And so I got to meet her a couple of times, interview her a couple of times, but she didn't know me. It's just, I'm just TV guy.
Yeah. So you were out in the parking lot.
We're not in the parking lot. We're in the dome. We're in the dome. We're in the dome, just outside the curtain, outside the floor. And here comes the Dinos. They hop in the band, and Selena, hey, Selena, can we ask you a couple of questions? Just real quick, just 1, 2, 3. And she goes, yes, let's do it. Abraham Kintanilla is behind her. It says, Selena, we don't got time. She goes, Daddy, we got time.
Aww.
I can do this.
Because that's the kind of person she was.
She was amable. She was corazón. She goes, yes, I got time. Let's do this. So we go through the live look TV talk. You ask 3 questions, pretending you're live, and then back to you type of thing. Well, after we go through the 1, 2, 3 questions, then Selena's, she's bouncing.
And she did the bitty bitty bamba for you.
Yes. Well, after we went through it, I turned to the photographer, Rick. I go, hey, you got that? And he says, I got most of the first answer. My battery died.
Oh.
My battery died? What do you mean my battery died? And hey, do you have another one? He goes, I have another one in the car. Now, in the car means outside. I turn to Selena, and Selena looks at me and says, I can wait. So wow. Rick's, he's hauling, he's running outside in the truck, in the bus. Abraham Quintanilla, beep, beep, Selena, we got to go. They had a date in Houston that night. And it turns out when Rick comes back, plugs in, what you see today is take 2. It's the second time she went through it. And she still was as nice. She still was herself. She still was doing the bitty bitty bam bam. And that's the essence of Selena. It's just, she was magical. She was herself. She made time for local media. And then she went on her way.
And it's great to send home the message when you're doing the bitty bitty bamba stuff.
Yeah, I was doing the bitty bitty bom bom thing. I couldn't hear myself.
It runs about a minute and a half.
Right.
Was that the most interesting interview you've ever done? I know you've met so many people. I mean, that's got to be one of the one of the ones that are really memorable for you.
It was fun at the time. It was just fun. It was great energy. But 13 days later, it became poignant. It became whoa. And as it happened that day, when she was shot in Corpus, I was on the job, and we were just, me and Rick, the same photographer, we were driving to a sports shoot. Well, he got called on the 2-way on the radio to say, hey, we need the live truck, Rick, we need you. Selena's been shot in Corpus, and we're gonna need everybody just head back.
And you had just talked to her a week before.
It was 13 days before. 13 days before. So as we're driving back, it hits me. I go, dude, we have that video. We have the raw video, because I was notorious for just hanging on to raw tapes. I wouldn't give it back to photographers. We have the raw video. It's on the desk. So I call the desk, talk to the producers. I say, we're stuck in traffic. We're going somewhere else, but go to my desk, look for a tape that says Selena Raw. And it has a live look with Selena. And it was her last appearance in San Antonio.
So that was the last interview in San Antonio, as far as you know.
As far as I know, that's the last interview she did in San Antonio. Yes. Yes. A little side note, I'm from Mercedes, Texas, the Rio Grande Valley. Another guy from the valley had just interviewed her in the dressing room. When she walked out, then we did our interview, and then she got on the bus and left. But yes, that's the way I understood. She wasn't back in San Antonio again, and unless somebody interviewed her from San Antonio. But again, that was the last interview Selena did in San Antonio.
And that was actually at the height of her career. I mean, at that point, she was already doing world tours. She had so many fans, and what struck me as it was just incredible watching it, because you could see how humble she was when she told you at one point. She goes, "I'm surprised by the turnout here." You know, she didn't expect all these people to turn up for the Alamo Dome, even though she had already become so popular.
On a Saturday, just talking about, because this was in the morning. It was, say, 9 to 11, 9 to noon. It was an early morning thing that they did. But yes, she got the biggest cheers. She was amazed by the turnout. She was kind of believing, like, no, the Spurs are bigger than me. Well, no, you know, a lot of the kids, they wanted to dance with you. The Spurs knew what they were doing, because she was the last performer. She was the headliner. You know, they knew what they were doing. Yeah. And she was on the cusp. I mean, she already was La Reina, the Queen of Tejano, along with Emilio. They had risen the genre to new heights. And it was blowing up for both of them. And she'd already cut her English album. So imagine the crossover that was waiting to happen. And if you know the artists that we listen to today, Selena could have been that big crossover pioneer.
But you know what's amazing?
That
she
happened.
is still.
She still is. And she got bigger. She got bigger since her passing.
She did, because I remember moving to the States, and I didn't know much about Selena at the time. I was a little girl coming in from a different country. And then I got introduced to her songs, including Dreaming of You, and I Could Fall in Love with You, you know, the English pop songs. And I instantly fell in love with her songs, and to this day, I play them all the time.
Yes,
I
you do.
love them, and I became a huge Selena fan, even though I don't understand Spanish. I love her Spanish songs, but also the English ones. So she did cross over.
It was there.
She's got new fans
Bingo.
and a new generation that loves it.
It continues to happen. You know, her Houston Rodeo concert is one of it's legendary. People are wanting the way I saw on social media the Ken's interview. Somebody cleaned it up real well, because the link I had on YouTube, it was just like VHS-y, you know, kind of funky. And people are looking for a copy of that Houston Astudillo one, because it's just, again, iconic. It was a moment, and then taken away in an instant, and which it crushed her fan club. It crushed her people, the community. Again, it's 30 years in a blink when you try to look back at that.
And I had a chance to interview some of the people who were pretty close to her, and they said she had a really big heart for children. And when you were talking to her in that interview, she tells you about, you know, how passionate she is about promoting education and making sure that the kids turn up and making sure the kids are involved.
She was excited to see so many kids out there, again, supporting something about just stay in school. That was the message back then. Stay in school. Don't drop out. Finish the job. Learn while you're there. And yeah, she was a big supporter of that. You could see it in her eyes. You could hear it in her voice.
I'm all for education. Therefore, I think it's really important to take the time for programs like this. I'm really surprised with the turnout. I think it's great. It's a good sign that kids want to do something good for themselves. And it's great to see the turnout here today.
Again, the smile, electric. I love when people say, they look at that video, they go, "Aye, she touched you, touched you on the shoulder." You damn right, you know. I mean, it.
You take pride in it to this day. You're like, Selena touched me.
Ahí está. She was a natural. She wasn't like some person before the light went on. She was the same one again.
She was genuine.
9 times out of 10, when you say, "Hey, you know, battery died," and you know, Dad is honking the tour bus. Yeah. Most people are going to get on the bus.
Right, especially musicians. I mean, you see it all the time. They don't have the time.
They don't have the time.
Constantly going.
I can wait.
Yeah.
I can wait. And she could see the panic in my eyes. Then and poor Rick, he goes, "I got most of the." It's like, my goodness. But
and I think
it's magical. It's magical.
That's why people are drawn to her.
Yes.
Because she just had that. You can tell she loved people. And in turn, people loved her because you could see that in the video. You could see her smile, her big old smile, and she's glowing in it. And especially when you guys started talking about Dennis Rodman, that was hilarious. Tell me about that moment.
Well, again, it's just because Dennis Rodman was still he was a San Antonio fan fave, his first year in San Antonio. And so when he's introduced, man, he's got just the flaming hair that he had. He was a blue collar guy that San Antonio adored. So, but I did notice, I mean, Selena's roars were just as loud as D-Rod. And so when I try to give it to her, she's like, well, I'm short, I'm tall, color. But again, it's back to what you were talking about earlier. Maybe she didn't see how big or believe how big she was and about to become and about to explode across not only San Antonio and Texas and northern Mexico, but across the nation. It's again genuine, humble, real. That's Selena.
You have one of the most iconic interviews of Selena. It's one of the ones that are played all the time, and it was toward the very end, as you mentioned, just 13 days before she passed away. And you could just really see Selena shine in it.
That's the magic of video, the magic of capturing a moment. I know we all we didn't have screens back then.
Yeah.
Now we do. I'm a believer in take the picture, roll the video, capture the moment. And
Do you ever sit back and watch that interview again?
Yes, I do. I love. First time I showed my granddaughter, she has this beautiful Selena bucket hat that she likes to wear styling. It looks so just weird, but I stick it on her.
How
and she
old
loves
is your
it.
granddaughter?
She is 6.5. She's 6, but she's been
So she
listening to.
knows Selena.
Yeah, she's been listening to Selena for many times. We dance to Selena on TikTok. We do all that stuff. But when I first showed her that video, she kind of was. And she looked at me.
Grandpa, is that you?
She goes, wait, what happened to your hair? As she points to the screen, what happened to your hair? Well, it is 30 years later. It is 30 years later. Hard to believe, but what a moment. I'm glad we continue to celebrate her music, her life, her heart, just what she brought. And because that's how legends live forever.
Yes, we keep her memory alive.
Tell and retell the stories over and over again.
Celebrate her songs, her interviews. I could tell you when I was editing her pieces this week for the tribute, I really sat there and watched your interview, and there was another one where she was sitting next to Nelson Wolf, and they were talking, and it was same thing. You could just see that big old smile that she has that took over. The minute she smiled, you couldn't see anyone around her. You just stared at Selena because she just had that about her.
Always. And you mentioned Mayor Nelson Wolf, another part of San Antonio history that Selena's played a part on, where we also, Ken's Five, hey fam, Ken's Five was hired to produce a special for the opening of the Hard Rock Cafe, the one downtown, in 1993. Bridget Smith and myself co-hosted it. The cool people, right? Come on. So on the show that night were Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, and Selena. Wow. Selena was there as well. So that was the first time that I got to interview her with something, or with a place, or be in a scene with her like that. So again, she's from Corpus, but she loves San Antonio. Yeah, she loves San Antonio.
Mari, I just want to tell you, even though it's been a few decades, you're still a cool person.
Well, I try to fake
You're still cool people.
I try to fake it one day at a time, people. To be continued.
Hey, you're doing good. You're doing good. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this amazing story about Selena. I always wonder what's the story behind the story, right? You see this interview play out. You see those moments that are captured, and you sit back and you go, I wonder how that interview came. So to me, to find out from you that it wasn't even planned, I mean, wow, you got lucky to meet her and grab that interview and to just have a chance to, really get that close with her, to talk so personal with her. It was quite amazing.
It really was. And I know you've been there. Tell me, you have to have been there when you turn to the photographer and he goes, well, my battery died.
Oh, I would have a heart attack. What do you mean your battery died right now? Wait a minute. And back then you didn't have iPhones. Like now if this happened, I would pull out my iPhone and be like, don't worry, I got you here.
Not anymore.
But back then you didn't have anything. I mean, you solely relied on the photographer.
And so, yes. But again, just her patience, his hustle to bust it, because he has to run the length. Imagine a football field. He's got to go the length of the Alamo Dome outside to the parking lot, then run all the way back.
And she waited
And while
the whole
Selena's
time.
just sitting there, we're just sitting there talking, small talking, and beep, beep, let's go, Selena. I can wait, Daddy. We got time.
It was disbelief, shock. It doesn't make any sense. We were deprived of such a beautiful, incredible human being. She came back into the dance hall that we were playing, the club, to congratulate us. I mean, he goes, oh, you guys were awesome.
Peter Astudillo says Selena wasn't just a superstar. She was like his little sister. Pete is behind some of her biggest hits, songs that we've come to love and know. And he also talks about what really shocked him in Netflix's Selena y los Dinos. Remember the moment she met Chris?
Yeah, we all remember the moment we all met Chris at the same time when he joined the band. And he came in as a guitar player. The moment that the relationship started,
did you know?
We all knew at some point. I think people knew different times. They were a little bit more with each other, and she was a little bit closer to him. Or like when we walked into a restaurant, we would sit down, and like she would sit with him, little things like that.
So what did you think when you did find out? What did you think? Did you think it was going to turn serious, or did you think it was just young love? And
for sure, I thought it was young love, and rightfully so. She deserved that. He deserved that. The dynamic of the band, that's a different story.
Did that change the dynamic?
Not really. It didn't change until things got bad. And of course, everybody's seen the movie, everybody's seen the Netflix series. And we were trying to act like nothing was going on. We were trying to keep it like status quo. The show must go on. The band must go on.
How long did that last for? Until
it had to be several months, because then we kind of knew. And I remember Joe telling me, like, hey, Selena and Chris are kind of going around. We sound like in third grade. They're going around.
Yeah.
And like, really? Yeah. Like,
was that a shock to you that they got married?
When they got married, that was a shocker. Because I didn't expect that. Actually, things got better after they got married. Because then it was out in the open. It wasn't a secret anymore. We didn't have to pretend. We didn't have to hide.
Did she ever confide in you in anything?
Of the relationship, yes. I remember she kind of got mad at me one time. We were playing in Houston. And we were at a place called The Island in Houston, which was a real popular. And I remember she kind of asked to talk to me. And she was kind of mad at me because she thought we weren't being cool about the relationship. And she thought, you guys aren't being cool or being supportive, about Chris and I. Because this is when we kind of knew. It wasn't out like full force, full blown.
She said you are being supportive?
That I wasn't.
Oh, you were not.
And she kind of got mad at me. She goes, you and all the guys are being like jerks or whatever. And I go, so we're not being anything. We're not. We're just concerned about you. We're concerned about Chris. We're concerned about your dad and your mom. We're concerned about everything. At the same time, how about if it breaks your heart? Then what?
What did she say?
And we just had a good talk, and she was just kind of concerned that we weren't cool with it. We're cool with it. We're cool. I mean, if you're in love with him, or I don't think I said if you're in love with him. I think if you like him and he likes you, that's great. Awesome. And we're cool with it. But, we can't be like acting that your dad, your dad. I mean, it's just a weird thing right now. But we're supportive. That's what you want. That's what you want. Awesome. And I think he gave me a hug, and we hugged it out. And I think that's the only time we talked about that till after they got married. And then they get married. And it was really weird because prior to the marriage thing, Chris wasn't in the band at the point. Of course, she wasn't happy because of that. Then they get married, and then it went back to normal. It was like, nothing happened. Now they're married. Let's move forward.
Is that the only time she was ever mad at you? that you remember her? It sounds like she's direct like her dad. Does she have any qualities from her dad? Is she a lot like Abraham?
Yeah. If she gets mad at you, she's gonna let you know. She's gonna let you know. I can honestly I don't remember ever being mad with her or she being mad with me. Like I said, she was always very supportive. The first time I went in the studio and I bombed completely when we were doing our first duet. I bombed. The moment was too big for me. I don't think I was ready. I wasn't ready, obviously. I wasn't ready. And I literally got kicked out of the studio. She was the first person that came up to me and said, like, no, you did great. You're going to be fine. And you just got to work at it. And you're going to come back and we're going to do it. Yeah. And we did. But my point is, I remember more on the supportive side. The only time I really heard being hurt, she wasn't mad at me. She was more like hurt.
Yeah.
That we weren't supporting her and Chris. And I told her, no, it has nothing to do with not supporting you. We do support you. We're just scared. And we're like freaking out a bit and freaking out on your dad and on everything.
But you guys were together a lot.
Oh, heck yeah.
You guys had a friendship.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. Yeah, no. She was amazing. I mean,
What was she like to you? Like a little sister? Or?
Oh, heck yeah. She was like my little sister. I've always said that. She's always like, yeah, like a little sister. But it was ironic. She was my little sister that I learned so much from because she was more experienced than me. But she was my little sister. And we were all protectors of her.
Was she pretty wise? Did she keep y'all in check?
She really did. She was wise beyond her years, her experience. She started working when she was about 8. She started performing when she was about 8. So her experience level was superior to a lot of people that I know, including myself.
Even though she was way
anything
younger.
that I learned from her and the whole band, from all the band.
What are some of your most memorable moments, your memorable performances with her, memorable moments with her, just as a person?
I mean, anytime we were together, I mean, it's like we literally lived together, all of us. We were in that bus.
At the center of everything, I keep hearing about that bus. It sounds like a lot of family memories between you guys were formed on that bus. A lot of relationships, right? That's when you and AB bonded. That's when she and Chris bonded. That's
yes,
when and Mr. Abraham, I mean, from what I know at the time, they said to have a bus, it was a really big deal. But he was the one fixing it, right?
It really was a big deal. I mean, first of all, we were a working band. I mean, it's not like we weren't like weekend warriors in the sense, which is nothing wrong with being weekend warriors. But it's not like we worked like a gig like 2 or 3 times a month. No. We worked like on the road 3-4 times a week.
What were the best crowds?
Craziest, most enthused crowds to me has to be Mexico. Mexico. When we went into Mexico, it was mind-boggling. We weren't prepared almost in this, not prepared to play, I think mentally. Because over here at that time, or even now, if you can bring in 2,000 people or 1,000 people into a venue, that's a great crowd. That's a great night. Even now. Back then, if you could do that, that was amazing. Now we go into Mexico, and there are like 40,000 people.
Wow.
And then we go to another venue, there's like 90,000 people. So that was like, and they call them bailes masivos, massive dances, which is exactly what they were. And they went on from 5 in the afternoon till 5 in the morning.
Now, was that from the beginning, from the first time you went to Mexico? Or like the reception the first time you guys went into Mexico?
No, the first time we went to Mexico, that was the reception because I think we went into Mexico like 1991, 90. I mean, it's been a long time. But the first time we went to Mexico, we had a song called Bailas de Cumbia that started doing well. And I think Carcacha was starting to pick up. So we were already doing pretty good over here in the States. Selena had picked up already. We had a nice, a really nice following. But the first time we went to Mexico is because there was a demand for us. It wasn't like, well, let's go take him over there, see what happens. No. Mm-hmm. When we went to Mexico, to Monterrey, people were waiting for Selena. They were hungry for Selena. So the first time we went there, I think, is when there was about 90,000 people. And we weren't the headliners. We were like a special guest. The headliner, I think, was Bronco. For people that don't know Bronco, they were like the it band of the 80s, 90s. I mean, they were filling up stadiums.
So what was that feeling like when you go from playing in a small venue Where you said 1,000 people would have been great.
Yeah.
So suddenly,
It was
90,000 people are waiting for you.
It was shocking. It was shocking. That's why I say I don't think we were mentally prepared because we weren't expecting, or at least I don't. Well, I'll speak for myself. I wasn't expecting that. I don't think Sel was expecting that either, or none of us. So we like, there's a lot of people out there.
Did that energize you more?
It energized. It was energy, fear, adrenaline, all in one. And of course, it's intimidating. You see a crowd, and thinking, how are they going to control this crowd? And it got a little crazy the first time we went there, because we wouldn't go on because it wasn't our turn yet, and the crowd started getting restless. So hence the part of the movie, the Selena movie, where the crowd is people are pushing the stage. They kind of got some of those ideas from that. But it got crazy. It got crazy. Of course, when Selena comes on, it's all love and peace, and everybody everybody in awe of her, rightfully so. And we had a great time. But the scene in Mexico was very different from over here, and the fans are, once again, I think also the enthusiasm. They had never seen us before. I mean, we're new. We're like the color of the color of the month, or whatever you want to call it. So we're the new toy. So people were amazed. And then, of course, we went on and thank God, put on a great show. Selena, had him in the palm of her hand. I mean, she had him eating from her hand, and she won over Monterrey. She became the queen in Monterrey. One after the other, we did Bitty Bitty Bom Bom together. I did AB. With AB, that was the first time I wrote with AB, I think. Bitty Bitty Bom Bom. And then we wrote a couple of more from the more popular ones. Then we did Baila esta cumbia. We did Como la Flor.
I told you first thing I said when I met him, I said, you co-wrote one of my all-time favorite songs. And it's such an honor to be sitting with you, because I'm just like, I want to know how you came up with the lyrics, what inspired you. I want to know everything about Como la Flor and your other songs too. How did you come up with that song? When did you do it? Were you on the bus? I have so many questions.
The thing is that song, there's two different things. AB in his head had conjured up something, and he always wanted to do a song because at our dances, there was always these little kids or ladies or persons selling these fake like plastic flowers with a little light on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they still do. And I think that's where he started getting the idea. And I think we were in a hotel room when he came up with the melody. And he jumped out of the shower and he told Joe, hey, give me a keyboard, because we were sharing a room. We have to remember that Selena was a very young woman. She was a young girl, per se. She was a teenager. Yeah. So we had to be very careful what we wrote for her. It had to be very pure, innocent, and almost like first love-ish thing.
Was that an Abraham conversation that he had with you guys?
Not really.
You just understood that you needed to protect her as well.
It was more like an AB conversation. AB, the son. Mm-hmm. And it's got to be about young love. And it's either you're either in love or you're either in pain. So this one, I'm going to go for the pain. For some reason, songs of pain fit me better. I don't know why. Maybe I've had a horrible life. That's why I say, you know what? It's going to be about young love, about the first time, about being in pain over somebody breaking up with you. And that's why I started taking it. And I said, but this person can't be, this person's so kind, so nice, Selena, that even after you're breaking her heart, even though you're leaving her, she's still wishing you well. And you know what? I know you found somebody else, but I want you to be happy. It doesn't matter if, if you go on without me, I couldn't give you what you needed. So just go on and be happy. And that's what the song talks about. So, and I'm being very honest, I really believe that Selena would have done that. I swear to God, that's her MO. I think she would have said, you know what, you're not happy with me, go be happy. Find who makes you happy. And I think that's my contribution to what AB gave me.
So he would just sit there and hum the song, and then you're coming up with the words as he's humming.
Yo sé que tienes un nuevo amor, y sin embargo te deseo lo mejor. Y si en mí no encontraste felicidad, tal vez alguien más te la dará.
Como la flor.
como la flor,
con tanto amor
con tanto amor.
me diste tú, te marchito.
Me marchó.
Yo sé perder,
Pero-
ay, cómo me duele.
¡Hey!
Ay, cómo me duele.
No, that was
Oh,
beautiful.
I'm
bet
gonna
you
cry
guys
right
You didn't know that she sang, did you?
No, I sing this song all the time. I think people have heard me sing this song because I love this
Oh my
song.
God, you made me sweat.
I made
What
me
the-
cry.
Look, I'm not kidding. Look.
Ever since I was a kid, I would sing this song, and I connected. I told you I didn't understand the lyrics fully too, but I could feel it.
It
touched me.
and that's why that's why I could tell you're really feeling it. You were really connecting with it, and I think that's the beauty of that
Yeah.
song. And of course, that's her anthem. I mean, everybody is like
Yeah.
Selena's gonna say "Como la flor," but I think it describes her, a beautiful piece of work that Selena would come and just sing the heck out of it and express every emotion and capture like that.
The hearts, the hearts.
Not
It's-
only your heart, but the hearts of so many.
I told you my 4-year-old is
you-
now all about Selena too.
You know when Adele came out with that song "Someone Like You"?
Yes, yes.
It when I heard Adele sing "Someone Like You," I go like, "Oh my God, that's como la flor
Yes.
in English." And it voice, and if you listen to it, it really does. Y'all, I'm gonna give you all homework. Do that. Listen to Adele, "Someone Like You," then listen to "Como la Flor."
How did you end up meeting the Kintanillas? I mean, they were from Corpus. You were living in Laredo.
This DJ, The Bird, a really popular DJ in Laredo, el locutor número dos, who later went on to do stuff for the Selena Ludino, the Carcacha, and he did the intro to the live album, the Grammy Award album. He saw us performing, and he's the one that said, "You know what? I'm gonna get you guys to play in a club where I DJ." And he took us to this club he played at. It was Roxy's, and that's where we met Selena y Ludinos. We opened up for them, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think we made a really good impression on Mr. Quintanilla the first time he met us. And I remember Abraham coming up to me like, "What's all of this stuff?" He goes, "Oh, well, it's for the band we're playing tonight." He goes, "Well, who's playing?" He goes, "Well, the Bad Boys." And he goes, "Who's that?" He goes, "Well, local band." And okay, he goes, "Yeah, okay, that's fine, but I don't want any of these speakers here. You need to get these down. You're blocking the stage." And so that day pretty much started that way, and it didn't get any better. It just got worse and worse.
So he was intimidating. So your first
If you-
impression of
my
Mr.
God.
Quintanilla.
I think anybody's first impression of Mr. Quintanilla is intimidating. So bottom line, we opened up for them that night, which we really didn't even open because at the end, right before we were going to go on, I think Mr. Quintanilla was scared that we were going to sound horrible, and it doesn't make sense to me. But regardless whether it makes sense to me or not, he told the DJ, our friend the Bird, he goes, "You know what? They're not going to open up. Selena's going to do her set. When she gets off, you let them play for 15, 20 minutes. Okay? Okay." So the DJ comes up to me, he goes, "When she gets off the stage, you jump on the stage. You got 15 minutes. He goes, "Sure, let's do it." So we get up and do our thing after they finish, and they were walking out to go to their bus. And that's when they heard us for the first time. And they told us later on that when they were walking out, they were going like, "They can't be them. That sounds too good to be them." So they went back inside, and there was like a second level in the club, and they went up there to hear us. And they heard our whole little 15-minute set. And as a matter of fact, then they told the DJ, tell them they can play longer. And then when the night ends and we're rolling up our chords and putting up our rinky-dinky equipment, Abraham approaches me again. But this time it was very different. And he's like, "So who are you?" I'm like, "My name's Pete. This is Joe. And who's your manager?" He goes, "We don't have a manager." "Who does your bookings?" "This is it. You're looking at it. There's no booking agent. There's no managers." So he goes, "You'll run everything on your own." He goes, "Yeah, pretty much. That's what we do." He hands me a card. He goes, "You want to work?" He goes, "I do, sir." He goes, "Give me a call." And that was the beginning of our relationship with Los Dinos.
You earned his respect pretty quickly. And put the timing in perspective for me. What year was that? How old was Selena at the time? Where was she in her fame period?
This was summer of 88. She was about 16, 17.
So it was right when she was beginning to really take off. That was the
Well,
beginning,
she was
right?
kind of in the midst of kind of
it.
being known. He already had recorded a couple of albums. She's getting some radio airplay. And I mean, I knew who she was. You know, when they told her, would you like to open up for Selena? I said, heck yeah. You know, yes, of course. Yes, no pay. I don't care. You know,
Did you have any songs at the time that were out that were already that you can think of? That
Dulce Amor, Yo Fui Aquella. Laredo was a great venue for her. So the place was packed that night. So in my head, that's what I thought it would always be like. So when I called Abraham that following Monday, because it was a Tuesday, they went on to work the weekend. So he goes, call me Monday. He goes, so I'm going to call you in the future, and there's some shows. You tell me if you're available, we'll do it. And that's how our career started with them. Our first show was in Robstown, Texas, at a place called the High Chaparral, which is a big venue. It's a big salon de baile or a dance hall. And we're expecting it to be amazing that night because Corpus is 15 minutes away. She's from Corpus. This is Robstown. That night was the first reality check to Joe and I of the reality of the business. Because 6 o'clock hits, 7 o'clock hits, a couple of cars here and there, 8 o'clock hits. Abraham goes like, it's time to get on stage. And I think I told him there's nobody here. And he let me have it like, that is none of your business who's here or not. I hired you to open up the show. And I go, I'm sorry. I was just kind of,
he didn't like that.
you know, he did not.
And when you first opened up for them that night in Laredo and you saw her on the stage for the first time, do you remember when you saw her, what it was like?
Oh my God. I thought they were amazing. I really didn't like the Hano music, to be honest with you.
Wow.
And that's why I wasn't really aware. But I was into English music, rock and roll and stuff like that.
That's
Pop.
really surprising considering how you became an icon in the Tejano music world.
But when I heard them the first time, I was blown away because they were so tight. Her stage presence was amazing. I had never seen her perform. And then the band sounded amazing. We were like on the side of the stage, just kind of looking at them in awe. Her voice, her stage presence, everything. And once again, it was packed in Laredo. So I said, well, she's doing amazing. That's why, you know, she is who she is, and she's an up-and-coming artist. Going back to the first gig that we played with them, opening up in Robstown, there's 40 people here. But sure enough, they start jumping off the bus, and in their outfits, hit the stage, and you would have thought there was 10,000 people in there. They put a show and we were on the sides looking again in awe. The night ends, and to the next city. And Joe and I were like, what the heck did we experience? And it was a slap of reality. Also like, oh my God, this is not as easy as I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like Laredo every night. And then from the summer of 88 until the end of that year, we traveled with them. So we started, touring in the bus with him. And we thought like we were on cloud nine. We're touring in a bus, with Selena and Ludinos. And we started getting to know each other. And there was a really good chemistry between AB and I. Right off the bat. We're with all of them. But with AB, I remember he started telling me about a song that he wanted to write in English. He goes, but I don't know how to say it, because I don't think I'm saying anything new. AB's Spanish was horrible. And so was Selena and Suzette and everyone's. So me coming from Laredo, Texas, and being born
and you were fluent.
And fluent in Spanish. And of course, my early beginnings were in Laredo, where I'm from, where I was born and still live. And that's where I started like any musician, like any singer, and I formed a little duet back in the day with a friend of mine, Joe Ojeda.
How old were you at the time?
I was 20, well, I'm trying to do the math here, quick math. I was about 23, 22. My parents, of course, in case you haven't noticed, were from Mexico, from Guerrero, which people know Acapulco. That's a famous city in Guerrero. My parents were there from a very small little farm, little town called Tuzantlan. My dad and my mom were rancheros. They didn't go to school. New education. That's what it was. That was what life was at that time. They came looking for the American dream and ended up in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, which is the border with Laredo. They jumped to Laredo, Texas, and ended up working in a farm called La Perla, and that's where I was born. We worked for the farmers, whatever it was, beets, cucumbers, onions, whatever we had to do. Once you hit 11, you're ready to work in the fields.
And so up until that point,
But that's the
there
thing.
was no music
I
at
had a
all.
very normal life, and really, I didn't have a chance. Like I said, we went to school, then we would go work.
Did you at least sing in the shower? I mean,
Yes. That was I was gonna get to that. My favorite places were to sing in church, because when I would go to church, I mean, everybody was singing, so I was free to sing there, and nobody was gonna tell me anything.
now, did you know that you actually had talent? Did you know that you had a good voice? Did anyone tell you?
Nope. I never thought I had talent because I never knew I had talent because nobody ever told me because I never did it. Like I said, I never sang in front of my parents or my siblings. And then I started writing little poems. But then again, all of this was very personal. It wasn't something I was showcasing. I knew that I loved to sing. I didn't know if I was good at it. But I knew that I had a passion for it. And I was about 21 or 22. I said, you know what? I was still in the restaurant business with my family. And I said, you know what? I just need to try this because the passion for this is too much. It's eating me up inside, but I don't even know how to start. So I started singing locally in Laredo, anything from community theater, church again. And that's when I met Joe Ojeda, whom I formed the Bad Boys with. And that was in 85.
So you found your calling at that point. I'm wondering what your family thought. Did they support that move for you, or was it?
Heck no. They thought I was, well, the first time they thought I was just messing around, goofing around. I was doing something I love to do. So it wasn't serious. And then when I formed the Bad Boys with my friend Joe, we weren't really working at all. We were just rehearsing almost every day. We were the best rehearsed duet with no gigs. We would literally rehearse every day until finally I got a gig doing a wedding just by chance because my neighbor was getting married, and my dad, being a dad, bragged to my neighbors, you know, my son has a band. And of course, we weren't doing anything yet, but he just knew we were practicing. And we got hired to do a 3-hour gig, and we knew 10 songs, $150 for the night.
For 3 hours.
And we were so excited that we got paid to do something we love to do. And that was the key.
Hey, that's not bad at the time. 150
You
bucks.
know what? It
3
really,
hours in
it,
the
it really
80s?
wasn't bad. $75 a pop.
Do you remember your first conversation with Selena?
Well,
The very first time you actually
conversation, it has to be the very first. Well, the first time we met, it was just very brief, which was in Laredo when we opened up for them. And she did come out after everybody was gone and we were picking up the equipment. When Abraham came up and say hi to me afterwards and talked to me about working, her and everybody came back. She came back into the dance hall that we were playing, the club, to congratulate us. I mean, he goes, "Oh, you guys were awesome," and once again, like, you're congratulating us. You guys were freaking amazing, and and Suzette too. Suzette came in, and then I talked a little bit to A.B. and to Ricky, and Jesse was the guitar player at that time, and then of course to Abraham. But that was the first time I met her. But we didn't like have a conversation. But like she was so complimentary. Like, "Oh, you guys are so good," and like, and it's only 2 of you, and this and that. And that was the end
And
of
then
that.
you start to get to know her more and more on the bus.
Once we get to start traveling with them, we got to know each other and everybody, but everyone. And I mean, they were just the nicest people, all of them, and just so down to earth. Of course, Selena was freaking silly and goofy, and she was a teenager, for God's sake. People forget she was so young. So she was just silly and goofy and laughing and just full of energy.
But you know, a lot of times when you look at interviews of like famous singers or movie stars, you feel like that there's this persona that comes on the camera and you have to act a certain way and be a certain way. But with Selena, when you're looking at the documentary as I'm watching it and I'm seeing all these interviews, even through her rise to fame, when people would ask her a question, she wasn't afraid to be silly. She wasn't afraid to let her guard down and giggle and walk away and say things that like you just would act, like a 17-year-old would act.
And she embraced the fact that she spoke really bad Spanish, and but she would try, and she would ask, "Am I saying it right?" She would ask you to correct her.
And the public was forgiving of that. They didn't care, right? Eventually.
But I think that was the beauty of it, that she wasn't pretending to know Spanish. She wasn't pretending like, she said, "You know what? I'm bad at this. I'm gonna give it a shot. Deal with me, embrace me, love me for it, or whatever. But this is who I am." and she was never fake. She was never fake. And there's a very famous line in the movie that Jennifer does, but when she's in Mexico, one of her big press conference, and she couldn't express herself. She's like, estoy excited. And then everybody thinks it's the cutest thing in the world. Anybody will be like, no, But that's the thing, she could get away with it.
Yeah.
Because she could back it up, and she had the talent.
She had a lot of talents, right? She was a designer.
Yeah.
She loved to do that. She's obviously a great singer, a great dancer.
Heck yeah.
She really knew how to put on a show. But what would you say was her greatest talent?
I want to say it's tough. It really is, because obviously the obvious one, the singing. I think she was a great singer, and not only just a singer, she could interpret a song. Because one thing, and I think that's even for her, it was even harder because sometimes she didn't know what she was singing. So my job, after I gave her the lyrics and we gave her the song, was to explain to her, okay, this is what the song's about. I mean, she knew some of it, of course, like she knew some Spanish, but I would explain to her, like kind of like what we did right now. And I go, okay, check it out. This is what's happening, da, 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 da. And then so she could get into the gist, into the meaning and the bones of the song.
Yeah.
And that way, when she would sing it, it wasn't just phonetics, or she wasn't just like pronouncing words. She's feeling them. And I think that was a big plus with her interpretation of the song. Because when you hear her voice crack a little bit, or a little raspiness, and it just makes you feel that even more. Yeah. And I sometimes think of Linda Ronstadt when she did Canciones Pa' Mi Padre. And you hear her and you believe every moment. And even though she didn't know Spanish, and I kind of see Selena that same way, that even though she didn't know it, but like I said, we would explain it to her. She wasn't naive on the story.
Yeah, you understood.
But she was able to interpret it so well. And I think that's one of her key things. Of course, her voice, her dancing ability, her designing was amazing. We wore some of her designs, for God's sake.
The cow one, right?
Oh my God, San Antonio. But we cannot forget the writing. I did Bitty Bitty Bom Bom. I wrote that with her.
Yeah.
I wrote Enamorada de Ti with her, so she was a writer too.
So yeah, she helped you write a lot of those. You did a lot of the writing on the bus together. Is that where a lot of the writing happened?
Well, Bitty Bitty Bom Bom was more of a, I don't want to say, yeah.
How did that come about?
It was a beautiful mistake. During sound check one time, if I remember correctly, she just started kind of singing gibberish. And the gibberish she was singing was Bitty Bitty Bom Bom. And it was about, first it started literally as gibberish, like da 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 da, like whatever she was doing. And then little by little, she kept doing it more and more. And then she started singing about a fish. If I had a wish, I wish I was a fish, and I would swim, swim, swim under the sea. And she started making up this song in English to the rhythm. And it got to the point that AB came to me and said, you know what? That's what she's doing. That's pretty cool. Because, we need to kind of organize it, put it in verses. We need to get a chorus for that. And everything she's doing, that melody she's doing, let's turn that into Spanish. So from bitty, and then she would say bitty bitty bubbles, bitty bitty bop bop, bitty bitty bop bop. All of that turned into bitty bitty bom bom.
But you can't help but move when you say those words. So was she dancing to it?
Yes, pretty much.
It's like you have to.
You have to. So that little thing that she did very organically, spontaneously, turned into bitty bitty bom bom. And again, young love, about a girl that's has puppy love per se for the first time. And every time she sees this guy, every time she walks by, like her knees are shaking, and she's just so, and her heart goes out of control and starts saying, bitty bitty bam bam.
We talked so much about the harmony that you guys had, but were there any challenges, any tough moments in those years?
I said when I joined in 88 into 89, the gigs were not that was the challenge, building her up, bringing in more fans, because the shows were, they were not at the level they were towards the end. Mm-hmm. And of course, that was Abraham's responsibility. He was the manager. Our responsibility was to put the music together that hopefully was going to get us there. Abraham was the manager. We were the band. So yes, AB was the band director. He was the one in charge of everything. So at that point, I think he thought he had the tools to work with, and that's when we started putting that first album for Capital EMI that did really well for us. And then once that one was done, we started working on the next one. AB started getting more ideas from the Mexico sound, and when we were opening up for AB, we were doing a lot of cumbias like Mexico style. Joe and I, the bad boys. So I think he also noticed that because one time there was a dance that we played together where we were opening up for him still. And we had the crowd going because we were playing these Mexican style cumbias, more rhythmic. And AB tells me that that night when they were on the bus and I was playing with Joe with the bad boys and we had the crowd going, that his dad got him off the bus and goes, look inside that place right now. And he looked through the window and everybody was dancing up a storm. And he goes, what do you see? He goes, everybody's having a great time. He goes, that little 2-man band is kicking your butt. He goes, well, they're doing that because they're playing popular music. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, that's what you need to do.
Tell me, Pete, what is it about Selena that just has people gravitating towards her like that? I mean, you knew her so well. You spent day in and day out with her for years.
It's that it factor. And I know people say it and throw it around very loosely.
What is that? What is that it factor? What is
it's the combination of everything. Charisma, beauty, talent, her attitude, her work ethic, the way she treats people, respect for the audience, and then that just likability. She's this soul of kindness and there's not a bad bone in her body. And I'm telling you this because I knew her from a very young age, and her generosity towards me, towards everyone, and the relatable. She's so relatable. Everybody, and I can honestly tell you this is the truth. That was watching her in an audience of 10,000 or 20,000 or 100 people, they probably all thought like, we could totally be friends, Selena and I. You know, we could probably hang out and we could go shopping and we could.
She does seem like that
Well,
from her interviews. It's
she's so relatable. She doesn't seem out of somebody's grasp. She doesn't act like she's better than anybody else. And it's not a show. It's not like I'm gonna try to do all these things to win over the crowd, win over the audience. It's real.
So she was the same person on stage
Everywhere.
as she was
Same
off
person
stage.
everywhere. Her generosity is beyond words. She was so generous. And I mean, even with me, like
When you say generous, like
for example, like when I joined the band in '88, and then in '89 we recorded our first album with Capital EMI. They got a record deal, and AB comes up to me, goes, "Hey, we're gonna do a duet." And I thought, cool, really cool. And I thought like she's gonna do a duet with somebody else, and she said, "No, with you." Like, I'm gonna do the duet with her. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You're part of the band." He goes, "Yeah." Like, oh, I'm like, literally what I'm doing now, that's literally what I did to him. Great. And I thought to myself, like, why would Selena, I know she's still not way up there yet, but she's had a really strong following. She's doing really well. Why would she do a duet with a complete nobody, a complete no one? And I'm not demeaning myself but nobody knew me.
But she didn't see you as nobody. She saw you as Pete, right?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. She could have said, you know what, why Pete? Let's get Emilio, or let's get Oscar from La Mafia, or let's get somebody else. Nobody knows Pete. What's the benefit of recording a duet with this dude? And she was the total opposite. Like, oh my God, that's amazing. We're going to do a duet together. And she was more excited than me, I think.
Did you ever tell her what you were thinking at the time?
Of course I did.
Did you ask her why me?
Yes, and I was in awe.
And what did she say?
She thought I was crazy. She goes, of course it's going to be you. And you know, and that just goes to show her generosity and just like allowing me to share a stage with her that at the time I hadn't owned it yet. I hadn't worked enough for it yet. But nonetheless, I did. I sang next to her. I danced with her.
Which song was that?
This was Ama Me Quiéreme. Ama Me Quiere was the first duet we ever did. Was the first Capital EMI album. And that was the first album I wrote songs on with AB.
And from that point on, it was
just that. So then we just kind of very organically started writing something together. And that grew into the writing relationship that we grew that we grew as friends, as comrades, as writers.
So it was an instant brotherhood.
It
with
was
him.
it was a really instant brotherhood. It was
And-
very organic. It was always teamwork. There was nothing. It was the whole band, the team. I always say there was an art behind each song. I know it's A.B. Quintanilla, Peter Astudillo, Ricky Vela, Selena, the writers, but behind each song, there's an army of people, and that sometimes it gets me a little. It hits me the wrong way when people say, "Oh, the last couple of years of her career, she was a solo artist." She was never a solo artist. The Dinos were always behind her. They were always her band, and they were always the ones that put the music together.
And she finally got to a point and she made that transition to being just Selena. Tell me about that, right? Because then at some point she began to transition to the English pop songs.
She was still with Campanile in mind, and it was an English division that we're going to start, promoting a new artist. And she signed a separate contract to do an English album. And it was at that, and this is the thing, this was started happening in 94 into 95. And that's when I took off as a solo artist in 94. So a lot of that time, I do know about it because we were still working on Amor Prohibido. They were still functioning as Selena y los Dinos till the very, very end. She was just starting to record the new album, which is when they brought in other writers aside myself, AB, Ricky, who were the main writers. And she always said, I'm going to do this, but we're always going to be Selena y los Dinos. And even though at that time, I know Los Dinos was kind of taken off and it was just Selena, it was more of a marketing tool, or the label thought it would just be easier to remember Selena.
Yeah.
Instead of Selena y los Dinos. I'm kind of happy that they did that with the documentary. They did Selena y los Dinos. Because, those Dinos deserve that place. They deserve to be right next to her because they always were right next to her. And that's her blood family. And of course, that's Chris. And even though Ricky, Joe, and myself weren't blood, we were like a family. So
And to this day, Chris was supposed to be here today, but scheduling issues
Yes.
happened. So you're still pretty close with Chris
Of
and the
course.
rest. I want to know when you first got the call about the documentary and what you were thinking about, because you're a big part of that documentary telling that story.
God has been so kind to me. Has been good to me. I didn't even have the capability to dream what my life has been. And to be part of the documentary, Selena y los Dinos, it's amazing. And I'll be honest with you, I heard about the documentary about 2 years ago, literally to this date. And when they told me about it, because they told me to come to San Antonio to do some interviews for the documentary, and I go, what's it all about? They tell me what's gonna happen. And I never said this to anyone, but I said it to myself, like, what can they say in the documentary that hasn't been said in the movie or on the Netflix series or the tons of shows that different networks have done, or interviews or old interviews that she did? What hasn't been said? I asked myself. And after watching the documentary several times now, I'll be the first to admit I was absolutely wrong. And I'm ashamed for thinking that now, because this is her story. This is her story and her family's story. This is the story of Los Dinos, and this is her saying it, not Jennifer, not Christian Serratos. She's the narrator. She's the one that's telling everyone, this was my life. Let me share it with you. Let me show you all my old films, all the old home videos. Marcela, the mom, oh my God.
Yeah.
I get shivers just thinking about her because it breaks my heart every time I see her open her mouth. And I think that is a pivotal key point to this documentary too, to hear her talk. That point of view as a mom is gold. And I think those are the beautiful things in this documentary that you're gonna walk away with.
Is there anything that surprised you when you watched
Oh
it?
heck yeah! Oh my God, yes.
Because if you're surprised, then every fan should watch
No,
it,
no,
considering you were with her and lived through it.
Those home videos, 70% of them I hadn't seen.
Wow.
I hadn't. So I'm literally, because we got to go. I got to watch it at South by Southwest with the family, and I thought that was so cool and emotional at the same time. Chris was next to me, and then Mr. and Mrs. Quintanilla were in front of me. Ricky, I think, was next to me, and I was like watching the documentary with him and then with the fans, and then I literally I probably looked like a kid watching it. Like and people were going like, "Dude, you're in it, man!" Like, yes, but I've never seen this. And all the videos, I had never seen a lot of them. The home movies, her playing at her parents' family reunion, the interviews her as a child, and AB and
Yes.
Suzette, and then of course Marcela singing. I had never seen that. I didn't even know she sang. And then as the documentary progresses, I come into the picture. And some of the footage with me I had never seen before.
The hair.
Oh my God.
I can always tell who you are just by the hair. And I love that you kept the hair all these years.
Well,
And
you
it's
know
just-
that in the movie, I don't know if you know, I play myself. I have hair extensions in the movie because I had cut my hair off at the time. So they have to have, and believe it or not, people think I just got the part because I'm Pete. I had to audition for my own part. I had to do a screen test. And I think Gregory Nava looked at me like, "Can you lose 15 pounds?" And I go, "What the heck?" And I wasn't even big at the time, but they wanted me to look a lot younger. Since I was going to be a younger Pete in the movie. I go, "Heck yeah, I'll do it."
So they gave you like a trainer and the whole 9 yards? And
No, not
nutritionist?
even.
You had
They
to do
didn't
it on
give me-
yourself?
You're on your
And they
own,
didn't have
buddy.
Ozempic and Wegovy at the
There
time,
was
so you kind of had to do it
They
on
would
your
just
own.
really starve myself
Oh, my
and
gosh.
start doing a little exercise. But it was that was a great experience working with Edward James Olmos. And the first time I met J-Lo, that was mind blowing. And they said me, "You need to go rehearse with Jennifer. She wants to meet you. Or she wants to hear what you have to say, and she wants to dance with you." They go, "Heck yeah! Who would say no to dancing with J-Lo?" So the first time I walk into this dance studio, and she's spinning around, and she's wearing the tights like Sal with a t-shirt. I think it was a Selena t-shirt, and she had tied it, and she just blew my mind because she was like in character and stuff, and she looked so much like her and her mannerisms and the dancing, and she went on to do an amazing job.
When I watch a documentary, even though I know the story very well, everybody does, and I've seen it many times in different ways, but I still cried a lot. I could not help but cry, no matter what. Do you ever have those moments? Do you think about it and cry? Do you remember the moment that you found out?
Oh
that
my
Selena
God! Yeah,
was gone?
those are the horrible moments. Those are the bad ones. There's so many good ones. That's the bad one. And yeah, the documentary is I mean, unfortunately, we know the ending, but it was the beauty of the ride, the journey that we should focus on, the celebration of her life,
Yeah.
what she achieved in such a short span. I mean, it's amazing. Like we were deprived of so much that she was going to give us. I mean, what she did in that short life, it's amazing. And yes, the ending is there's no words to describe it. And I'm a writer, and I just can't even put it in words how horrible it felt when I found out. And it was disbelief, shock. I think we all felt the same thing. It was in unison. We all felt the same thing. I think because it doesn't make any sense.
It's a beautiful way of putting it in unison.
There's no way to look at it. And we were deprived of such a beautiful, incredible human being with so much to give. And I can only imagine how much she had to give.
But she still plays such a big role
heck yeah.
today in Tejano music. I mean, she's reviving it for a new generation all these years later. What do you think about her impact in Tejano music today?
Well, the thing is, to me, I think it's the old fans are amazing. And when I say the old fans, I mean the fans that got to see her live. You know, maybe we're 10 years old when she passed. So these fans are now 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. I mean, they got probably more, they're into their lives and stuff. Me, I think the new generation of fans is what's keeping her going. These little kids, teenagers, this new revival. Well, you know what? I'm not going to call it revival because it was never gone. I mean, it's always been there.
I was going to ask you about that, though. I mean, Tejano music, you know, in the 90s, you had a lot of big names, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you do hear, like some of my coworkers and I were talking about how everybody knew, like if you said this person was playing at a quinceañera or a wedding, and that was such a big part of it. Do you feel like it's still the same now? Do you feel like it's...
Well, we can't compare the late 80s into the 90s into the 2000s to that was the heyday of Tejano. That's when they was thriving. And that happens with every musical genre. It's not just us. I mean, you look at rock and roll, you look at country, the hair bands of the 80s, your Guns N' Roses are not this of the 90s, and so on and so forth. And that's the thing with Tejano.
You have a new song.
Yes. We're always working on different things. You get your highs, your lows, your mediums. I'm always writing stuff. I write a lot of stuff with AB still. And this new song that I wrote is called El Ritmo Se Acabó. And I wrote it earlier this year.
Is this for the documentary?
It's not with a documentary, but it almost feels like it because the name of the song is called El Ritmo Se Acabó, the rhythm ended. And then
It's about Selena.
It's about Selena, of course. And what I mean, the rhythm ended, El Ritmo Se Acabó, means that for a brief moment, for a brief second, it seems like our world it closed down. So the rhythm died in that very moment when we all found out what had happened. But 30 years later is louder and stronger than ever. And that's what the song talks about, of her legacy, of what she represents, her songs, her person, what she represents to us, the Latinos. Well, actually, about mid-year, I asked Chris Perez, Chris, we miss you, man. I told him, dude, I wrote this song. Would you be interested in playing it? It's about Sal. And of course, that's very touchy for him. It's a very touchy subject. He goes, send me the song. So I sent him the song. He goes, I love it. He goes, I'm in. Wow. And like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And
is that the first time you guys worked together since?
No, we worked on some of this stuff. If it is, I wrote a song with Chris, No Me Rajaré, for his work. I co-wrote that with him. But in this song, I said, you have to be in there, man. And he agreed. We just couldn't find the time. So finally, about 2 months ago, we got in the studio at his house. We put the song all together. He brought in his acoustic guitars, his electric guitar, the guitar with Selena on the actual guitar, and he does the guitar solo on that song. It was such an amazing dynamic to see Chris playing on a song for his wife. Like Selena would call him the love of his life. For him to be playing on that song for her, written by me, and it was just kind of a full circle. I mean, I wish all the Dinos could have been on it. It would have been a dream come true. And hopefully one day, who knows? But right now, I'm happy that Chris did this song, especially since it's for her. And it's a tribute to her legacy, a tribute to all the band.
Where can we hear it?
It's out already. It just came out. It's called El Ritmo Se Acabó, cumbia version, featuring Chris Perez on guitar, and it's out on all digital platforms. So go check it out. Go check out the Netflix documentary, and then go listen to the song. They're not. I wish it could have been part of the documentary, but I wrote it too late.
You're the singer.
I'm the singer on this song,
okay.
Along with Chris Perez on guitar, and I also brought in some old people, some old musicians. René Gasca, who played on Biri Biri Bam Bam, Fotos y Recuerdos, No Me Queda Más. Who played the trumpet on that song. Use that same trumpet to play on this song. So there's a lot of nice little touches to it. And last but not least, it's a gratitude also to the fans. This song is dedicated to the fans and saying thank you for 30 years for not letting her memory fade away, saying thank you to them. This is really for Sal, for the band, and for the fans.
Thank you. I love your shirt. You want to show everyone?
I will show everyone.
You can't see it.
Check it out. Every single song on this shirt, Biri Biri Bam Bam, I think is Si Una Vez, Amor Prohibido, and all the songs here. I co-wrote all these songs.
So these, wow, that's so
shirt.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I am. I'm right here right now. Sorry. We're not on air, are we?
It was amazing how talented Selena was, even when she was very young.
My father's a manager, my brother's a producer, and my sister is the drummer in the band.
I got a complete group.
We worked as a unit. Selena had a very dangerous team behind her.
Selena was bigger than what she thought she was.
You have to sacrifice something in life in order to get ahead. No one in our family has a job. We make a living off of it. And that's why it means so much to us.
She had so much vision.
Ella me dio la confianza para ser una mujer hispánica que podía hacer lo que yo quería.
People imagine her as this force, but she had her vulnerable side.
I'm tired of being on camera done.
For some little girl or some little boy somewhere dreaming, that's what the songs are for. They're for you.
I feel like the music will continue to grow.
Thank you, Grupo Los Dinos. When I win, they win. And when they lose, I don't know them.
Selena brought hope for the Latinos.
La verdad me siento muy emocionada.
I'm very proud of her.
If you have a dream, if you don't try, you're never gonna know. So, I'm gonna try.
You know, the Selena I knew at the time, she wasn't. She was just Selena, you know, and she was goofy and funny and always laughing, always joking, always pranking, just funny, you know, and very thoughtful. She was very, very thoughtful. We were signed with the same label, which was Capitol EMI. And so when I was first signed, I believe it was during Fanfare Weekend, and they would have kind of like showcases. Capitol had a party, and it was my first time, you know, being able to be invited to one of these parties and kind of rub elbows with all of the artists. And I just remember seeing Selena performing, and I was just like so taken back because I had seen her at the awards, but I had never really been around her or in her presence. And she was just so, I don't know, just different. She just carried herself different. She was very, approachable. When she's on stage, you see like the Selena that like has her like very commanding, you know, performance and very serious at times. So that was what I thought I was gonna get when I met her. And when I met her that day, no, it was just kind of like, wow, like, you know, her big laugh and all her gummy smile and her teeth, her beautiful teeth. And it was just super cool. And I have pictures of that day, and it was just such a beautiful memory that I'll continue to hold, you know, within my heart. You know, I think that us as an industry and as a people, you know, we should be so proud of the barriers that she's broken down and been able to reach people of every ethnicity, race, color, all across the world. And that's just, you know, a feat in itself for anyone. But a little girl from Texas did that, and it's just awesome. Like they say in Spanish, era única. Like she's one of one. You know, there's not anyone like her, and there shouldn't be. You know, that's what creates an icon, is someone that, you know, you can't duplicate, you can't be. But you know, I miss seeing her. I would have loved to have seen what she would have done had she still been here, because I know it would have been incredible for all of us, not just for her, but I know that she would have taken our industry and moved it even further along. You can't go anywhere and say her name and people not know what Tejano music is, and that's because of her. You know, no one has done that, and I don't know if anyone will.
El ritmo se acabó y el mundo lloró.